Now, Lihi Lapid is a prominent author, writer, and activist here in Israel. She's well known for her newspaper and magazine columns and her novels, the latest of which has just been published in English translation as On Her Own, and which deals with themes of grief and mourning that are very relevant now, unfortunately, to current events playing out here. And while she joins us in studio very much on her own, we should take note that she is also a public figure as the wife of i24 party leader Lihi Lapid, leader of the political opposition, who we just heard about in his visit in the UAE. Yeah. But Lihi Lapid, first of all, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for hosting me.
Now, as I said, we will discuss your new novel, but I do want to note you're a public figure. One of the issues I've seen and that you've been very involved in is the issue of the hostages, and anyone who looks on your social media can see the time that you spent there. And I just want to get your view, because today is a almost critical day where a lot of discussion is this could be the last chance for a hostage deal to perhaps bring at least some of them home. And as someone who's spent time with the families out there and has been involved in the causes, just want to hear what your message might be on that this evening.
Well, you know, yesterday I was home and I felt I can't be at home. So I suddenly, like a minute before dinner, I took my car and I drove to the families of the hostages to stand with them. I'm not blocking streets, but I stand with them and screamed and shout for the hope of making a deal. I think we have to do everything in our power in order to bring them back home, because it's such a huge wound. You know, it started at the beginning. We were thinking about the kids, the little kids, but I was all the time thinking about the women, the young women that are there, and we all try not to think what's happening with them, but I see their mothers that I saw at the beginning very strong, and slowly, like they're like leaf.
Right.
You can't I'm hugging them, but they're bones.
Lihi, I'm not going to involve you in your husband's political decisions, but he has said that if the government agrees to a deal, he would support the government, at least for a time being, to see a deal through. That would be a difficult decision for many people in the opposition who have been out on the streets protesting this government and objecting to certain policies of members of it and Prime Minister Netanyahu. As someone who is out there in the opposition, I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, do you feel...
I feel sometimes there are things that are bigger than everything, and I think the hostages and the people that are there, you know, they're an hour away from here. They're not somewhere. It's unbelievable that we can't bring them back, and I think we need to negotiate and do everything in our power, because part of the Israeli legacy from Entebbe through so many situations is that the country of Israel is going and saving the Israelis.
Right.
And we don't leave anyone behind. So it's something I don't know how we can live if we'll know that they were alive and we neglected them there. I think it will be something that will break the heart of the nation.
All right. Well, certainly the next days seem to be crucial. Let's talk about your book, because, as I said before, it deals with themes of certainly mourning and grief, which are relevant. But maybe just briefly, I'd rather have you briefly tell us what it's about. Just briefly, a brief synopsis.
Nina is an 18-year-old that hides from people who chase her, and she got involved with bad people. She hides in a staircase in Tel Aviv, an old building. In 4 o'clock in the morning, an old woman is going down the stairs, opens the light, sees Nina. Nina wants to hide or escape when this old woman looks at her and say, "Dana, my Dana, you came back for me." She's not her granddaughter, but she goes and lives with this woman.
Right, and this woman is suffering from perhaps dementia, form of dementia.
And why, for me, the fact that the book is being published now in the United States, and it will be in the UK, is so important because it tells the story of a woman that lost her son
Right,
in
her
the
name is
army.
Carmela.
Carmela.
Yes.
She lost her son in the army 30 years ago, and she's grieving every day since then. And I think that when people will read about it, they will understand. For us, you understand it, and me, because we are here. For us, soldiers are not a war machine. For us, soldiers are our kids that go to the army. And it's so different than people that go to the army as a profession. For us, we grow our kids and we want them to go to the army. We encourage them to go to the army. And every time I see a picture of a soldier that died at this war, maybe for other people from other countries, it's soldiers. But for me, there's a new Carmela, there's a new mother that will never be happy again, that will always cry and miss her child. And that's the reason. The book also, when it was published in Hebrew, people told me it's so Israeli. So now for me, I think it can give people from outside of Israel a glance of what it is to be Israeli and pay the price of living here and pay the price of your son.
Now, you're still a young person, and you're choosing to write someone who's facing memory loss and dementia. I don't know if that's a personal thing. And of course, from what I understand, she's also concerned about losing the memory of the children, the son that she lost in the war. Is obviously there's a personal dimension, but is there a metaphor here too for Israel? Is this also supposed to be in some way the concern? Because that's a question that is a lot of people we should note, and that Israel's Yom HaZikaron Memorial Day is coming up, and there's a big debate about how Israel should be mourning at this period during a time when it still has to conduct this battle every day. So is there a story that somehow this relates?
Wow.
Or maybe just a subconscious?
It's a very, very nice observation. Thank you for it. I do think that Carmela wants everybody to remember her son, but no one remembers him after 30 years. Yes, we have Memorial Day coming soon. I think it will be very, very difficult because of the hostages. We're dealing so much with bringing them back home. We didn't start even crying and talking about so many people that died at the 7th of October. Young people that went dancing and young soldiers that died. So, and families.
I mean, the country is in a bit of, I guess, sort of a national PTSD, if you could say it. I mean, it's still in a kind of shock.
Yeah, and I think we are all afraid of Memorial Day, and rightly we are afraid because I don't know. I think we are at the verge of all our emotions here are outside. I think our skin is so thin already from sadness. So I really hope that Memorial Day this year will be quiet, and I think no one will celebrate Independence Day. Everybody canceled all their parties and everything because you can't. You just can't be happy. No.
Now, as you mentioned, the book is coming out. If you can hold the book up so you can show the camera is coming out now. And you're hoping that readers abroad, it'll give them some insight into the Israeli psyche and what an Israeli experience. But of course, this is a challenging time for an Israeli book that deals with issues of war to be coming out. And I wonder how you feel seeing, we just showed some of these scenes from these colleges, these campuses in the U.S., and some of the things that are being said about Israel, almost as an abstraction, and how you feel about that, and how I don't know if you're planning to go on a book tour, but
I'm going on a book tour.
Your concerns about going out and and you've represented it. I know you've gone abroad and through with your husband. You also have represented Israel officially in some cases. How you feel about what's happening now abroad?
It's a tragedy. I can't believe how we lost this fight. After what we've gone through here at the 10th of October, losing the empathy of the world, losing the hug of the world. I mean, hug not.
Right, I understand.
I mean,
in the figurative,
hugging.
Yeah, hugging, yeah.
It's. I can't understand it because they were supposed to protest for us, not against us, and we lost this battle of. I think. I'll tell you something. I think we look at Israel. There is David and Goliath, right? Always the story of the big bad guy and the small good guy. We think of Israel as David, and they look at us as Goliath, and we need to change the story of them. I will talk about Israel being right as much as I can. I'm so sorry that I'm sure that a lot of people in Barnes & Noble will hold the book, see that it's Israel, it's about Israel, and they will put it down. So what I want and what I wish is that some of the people will read it, open it and read about one little family looking for happiness at the middle of this whole
Right.
balagan.
Right. Before I finish, I should mention, I mentioned you are an activist, and one of the causes you've been very active in is children with special needs. You have a child with special needs, and you've worked with them. There's Shekel is the organization, Shekel, that works with them, and this must be, just very briefly, a difficult and challenging time for those with everything else having to deal in those special circumstances.
Yael, our daughter, she's autistic. She's nonverbal, and she's 27. And through our organization, I saw the suffering of, a lot of people were evacuated from their home, and taking like a 30-year-old autistic guy and without to a room in the hotel. So we gathered a lot of people that were evacuated, people with special needs, and it's so sad to see them out of far from their homes and everything.
Trying situation. Lihi Lapid, the book is On Her Own, coming out in English, and as you said, I hope some people do pick it up, and it brings some insight into what Israelis, the life of Israelis, the normal life, and then that people have to deal with here. Lihi Lapid, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and may good days will come.
May indeed, may they come, and may they come soon. Thank you for joining us. That ends our special broadcast for this evening here on i24 News.